we'll start with an idea, a concept, and I'll make a product brief, and then we'll run some numbers. So we'll kind of say, okay, here's an idea, here's an idea of how much it'll cost us, what we can sell it for, and then how many we can expect to sell. And sometimes, we'll have an idea, oh, here's a rod that I would love to fish, but we'll sell 10 of them, and so that doesn't really make sense for us to take the time and produce it. Other times it's kind of a no-brainer when we get an idea. We'll say, okay, we'll sell 10,000 of these, and they'll cost us no time at all. So yeah, let's go for it. So we have a lot of ideas kind of percolating in the lab here, and we'll kind of sit down. We have these working documents of 3-year plans, and kind of shuffling the products in and out of the plans, and when some are discontinued and others come and go. And so eventually we kind of have to lock down what the plan is for the upcoming year. So right now we're working on, well, our plan for what will be 2016 products was finished in October, and now we're starting to, we've had prototypes of all these things and tested them all out, and now we're starting to push through production on some of these things. So I guess the whole cycle, I guess, is 16 to 18 months ahead of time before a product, when we start to talk about it in here to when someone can go into a shop and buy it. But that said, we have this 3-year plan, and so we're looking at stuff that'll come out in 2019, which sounds insane.
Like fiber, we do make graphite fly rods, and these fibers are about 5 microns in diameter, very, very, very tiny. There's 6,000 fibers in this little bundle. And one of the things that I always say that there's 5 elements that really make our rods stand out. We try to optimize these things. One is selecting, there are hundreds of fibers available in the world, so we've down selected what we think are best for us. So we've got specialized fibers and resins that are proprietary resin systems that we've been developed for our application. We're the only one in our industry to use it. So the other thing is finding a manufacturer who can take these fibers and resin, make materials. They take these fibers, spread them out very uniformly, and real high precision, both in the fiber count and also the thickness of the material. So having very precise materials that we can use with. And then in the lab here, we select these, test these materials, but then we also develop the constructions, how we put all these things together. So it is just a simple tube when you look at it, but we look at every layer, what kind of chemistries and resins are involved, where we put what. And so that it's pretty intricate when you dissect the whole thing.
A bit of stress relief here, literally. Okay, so basically what we're doing here is we've got a real fancy test machine that can give us a lot of good detail and data on our structures. So we'll build it and test resins, fibers, and as I was saying, constructions, where we put all that. This particular test is just going to take the tube and essentially buckle it, bend it down like that until it breaks. Kind of a practical application. You can imagine a fly fisher or a fisherman doing that. We also can take it and bend it in different ways or squash it, and we'll do this for testing drag materials, friction materials, all sorts of things. So and this test is fun because it's dramatic. It makes a lot of sound and noise. So if you can imagine here a fishing scenario, and so someone's hanging on to something, and you can see the extreme loads that the structure goes through. And so you'll see at the end, this goes through a pretty extreme bend, and so we'll get the values of these materials and then go back to our designer and say, well, he doesn't really need a part to bend this much, but he can come back and design it. We know the strength of that material, and he can design it in an application that really makes sense for him. This will be like the bottom part near your handle. So for someone to hold this, he'd have to be doing almost a somersault, putting that a yoga position.
So you're saying there's such a thing? It can bend too much? Like you don't want it to bend?
So we're happy to answer questions. They don't have to be in person. I said this to the last group where I really like to give people sort of the parameters and the big vision, and then hire really smart people and go let them do their thing. I actively dislike micromanaging and micromanagers. So I'm a pretty loose big picture guy, which means I'm sometimes ineffective with certain people working for me.
So I've seen lots of growth from a $4 million company to a $45 million company, which is kind of fun because you can have all this over in Bainbridge Island where it started.
Just a mention and all, such a simple phrase. All we pass on
It was going like this and just went bam. And Boeing and Lockheed and all those people, they quit buying stuff. And when they quit buying stuff, that was a great time for us. You know, the airman says, oh God, we're worried the economy is going to hell in the handbasket. So what we did is, we're a company that doesn't have any long-term debt. So we used that opportunity to go out and look for this type of equipment so that we could upgrade what we were doing. So this is standard, typically about $1 million piece of machinery. And we were able to get it for about $600,000 because all of a sudden everything was on sale. We put up with it. So we'll do that, and if we can't get a laminate for somebody and it's very difficult, we'll make it be like $1,000 a sheet. They'll go.